If you didn't, you wouldn't have decided to go to art school. And now here we are at graduation. We made it! Getting your college degree is a magical experience. What I mean by that is that it breaks the time-space continuum, somehow making 4 or 5 or 7 years go by in the blink of an eye, while at the same time feeling like an eternity. This is magic because college makes time move in opposite directions at the same time, and because time goes so fast these days, with social media, short attention spans, anything that can slow time down is an act of magic. Time moves so fast, we hardly have the chance to stop and reflect on what we've just accomplished before moving on to the next task. I'm sure we all have big plans after graduation. Some of us are going off to graduate programs, some have careers waiting for us, some have the opportunity to spend time with our art. Whatever our plans are, before we run off, I'd like to invite everybody to reflect on your experience at IAIA. Acknowledge all the challenges you've overcome. It wasn't easy, but you did it. We've all had different experiences. But I bet none of those experiences were effortless. I know my journey wasn't painless. There were times when I didn't think I would make it to graduation. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty details now, but maybe someday I'll write a memoir and you all can read it. But there were times I wanted to drop out, call it quits, give up on this whole crazy idea of becoming a writer. Luckily, I had family and friends to talk me out of those horrible bouts of sanity and remind me that I had no other choice, because a writer is what I am. I'm sure everyone here can relate on some level because we have all overcome challenges. With assignments and deadlines, the last thing we need is stress from our personal lives, whether those challenges are financial, family-related, health-related, or anything else. But it happens. Challenges arise. That's life. There is no such thing as an existence without struggle. But it's what we choose to do with adversity that makes us who we are. I've always thought that when life knocks us down, we have two choices. We can lie down and die, or we can keep going. As a writer, books are one of my closest friends, so when life knocks me down, I read. I try to find meaning and inspiration in books. One of the books I read during the hardest part of my college career is called Wind, Sand, and Stars, which is a memoir about Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's experience of crashing his plane in the middle of the Sahara Desert. I picked this book up because I knew I would find inspiration in it. Because hey, if this guy can survive the desert for 3 days with a couple of oranges and half a thermos of coffee, then surely I could survive a couple bruises and a few essays to write. In this book, Saint-Exupéry tells the story of his friend who crashed his plane in the middle of a frozen tundra. Luckily, since this book was written, people have gotten a little better at flying. While this friend, who was stranded in a frozen tundra, was sure that nobody would find him. He walked for days on end through the snow until his feet became so swollen he had to cut off his shoes. The only thing that kept him going was the thought that he had to get to the highest possible ground so his body would be visible, so his wife could collect his insurance money. He stayed awake for days, searching for higher ground. He knew that if he fell asleep for even a second, he would not wake up. He said that most of the time, all he could think about was sleep. He wanted nothing more than to lie down in the snow and die. This was the only thing that would relieve him from his suffering. But he marched on, his wife in mind, searching for a place where his body would be found. When telling the story to Saint-Exupéry, he said, "What saves a man is to take a step, then another step. It is always the same step, but you have to take it." I liked this quote so much that I painted it on a board and hung it on my wall. Every morning while getting ready for school, I looked at that quote and told myself to believe it. There were times in obtaining my bachelor's when all I could think about was sleep. I'm sure everyone can relate to that. There were times I wanted to stop moving, when I couldn't see the point in taking the same step over and over again. But just like struggle, this is part of life. In order to get anywhere in life, meet our goals, whether those goals are to get through a graduate program, become famous artists, teachers, or anything else, in order to get there, we must take these steps. There will be times in our lives when all we want to do is give up, lie down and die. Here I have been blown away by the talent I have seen. I have heard some of the best poetry, read some of the best fiction and nonfiction, and seen some of the most powerful visual and performance art I have ever seen in my life. I can tell you, if any of the graduates from this program decide to give up, they would be doing a disservice to the world. I've seen the power the students here have to make a change. And if the world needs anything right now, it's change. So giving up is not an option. The world needs to hear these voices. Our choices as artists is to take the struggles life throws at us and turn them into something beautiful. And yes, there will be times when we can't see our goals in front of us, when we feel like we're just taking the same steps over and over. And they are the same steps, but we have to take them. So if I could give you any advice today, it would be keep moving. And when life throws you trash, make art. Thank you.